All right, guys, final little review for you before you take your quiz tomorrow. I just want to point out really quickly that questions like 5A, B, and C are important for you to be good at for the quiz tomorrow. There will be one like you had on the homework leading up to today that involves a quadratic that you need to factor with imaginary solutions. But other than that, it's just these three types of questions, graphing them, and one quadratic. So let's talk about 6 and 7 because those involve a lot of those same skills that you'll need for those. Number 6. It looks really terrifying, but it's not so bad. What I want you to do is immediately bring down the subtraction sign because we do have just one quantity over here minus another quantity here. What we're going to do to remember that we just have two things that we're subtracting, we're just going to put that subtraction sign there and figure out what goes on the inside here. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times negative 3i is negative 15i. 2yi times 4 is 8yi. And 2yi times negative 3i is going to be negative 6yi squared. All right, so there's one quantity taken care of. Now let's do this other one. 5 times 4 again is 20. 5 times negative 3i is negative 15i. Negative 2yi times 4 is negative 8yi. And negative 2yi times negative 3i is going to be positive 6yi squared. Now, we have our two quantities. We're subtracting them. So I'm going to remove these parentheses and distribute this negative sign inside here so that all I have to do now is just combine like terms. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rewrite this first term. I have a positive 20, a negative 15i, a positive 8i, positive 8yi, a negative 6yi squared. Now over here, I have a negative 20, a positive 15i, a positive 8yi, and a negative 6yi squared. Now that I've broken down all of the parentheses, there's no more multiplication left, so all I have to do is just combine like terms. So I'll do just like I did in the answer key, and I will circle my like terms that are just constants. There's those two. I'm going to box my negative 15i with anything else that's like it. So I do have a positive 15i here. I'm going to use triangles, I guess, for my yi terms. So I have an 8yi, and I have another 8yi. And the last thing is I just kind of used like cotton ball or something here for my yi squared terms. So those things go together too. So hopefully you guys can see how those things are all like terms. Now I'm just going to start combining them. My constants, I have a 20 minus a 20, or 20 plus negative 20. Those are the same thing. So that is really just 0. I have a negative 15i and a positive 15i. That's also going to be 0. I have an 8yi and another 8yi. So that's going to be a 16yi. And I also have a negative 6yi squared and another negative 6yi squared, which ends up being negative 12yi squared. So that really, we can just drop these zeros here. And I'll just rewrite it, I guess, as 16yi minus 12yi squared. But we're not done because I squared is the same as negative 1. So we're going to make that substitution. 16yi minus 12y times negative 1, which ends up equaling 12y plus 16yi. And the reason we have to put it there is because we have to make sure that it's in a plus bi form. So our real terms are in front and our imaginary terms are on the end. So that is your answer.